understanding how these men operate, understanding the tactics that they use so that you don't fall into the trap of letting them play you and get the best of you. So go into this video saying, okay, by me getting a better understanding of these things, I can navigate through the waters of unhealthy men a lot better. And that way also not get discouraged or caught up in a way that it blocks you from receiving that great man. Okay, so let's get into some of these tactics. One of the first ones I want to talk about is giving you the silent treatment. Okay, so you have a lot of advice on the internet nowadays that tell men to essentially use silence as a weapon. And let's be real, there are women who have done the same. But we're not going to focus on the women right now. We're focusing on what the men do. And so essentially, whether some refer to, it's just telling men to ignore you, things of that nature, to cause you to then, crave their attention and want the validation and essentially put the power back in their hands, all these different things. Now, I have to acknowledge and let you know that there's some men who are doing that simply due to bad advice being given to them, and they think that's the best way to handle it, even with a woman they actually do care about. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of men are being led astray in that sense. However, there are the men who are they know the game and how this game works. And so they will use the silence because the silent treatment can be used to create anxiety within you, can be used to create fear within you. And all these manipulation tactics that we're going to go through, they tend to then turn the tables. They turn to remove the focus being on him and whatever the specific issue was, and either putting it on you or turning it into something completely different. So now, if you come across a man who engages in that behavior, one, you cannot let the fear of, oh my gosh, did I lose him by trying to hold him accountable to this issue? You can't lose sight of that. Like, so if he finally pops back up or you reach out to him and now he answers, he doesn't get to dodge that issue. Like, don't make the mistake of just now moving forward because you guys are now talking again. No. Are we going to correct what we talked about before you went ghost or not? And if we're not, if anything, you should actually see his silence as a greater example of why you don't need to be dealing with him. All right? But don't let him trick you into losing sight of whatever you were holding him accountable to. Now, if, for example, because crazy things happen, let's just say there was literally something tragic that occurred. Someone passed away, and so his silence was not a manipulation tactic, but in fairness to you, you're not sure if he's just giving you some story or what the case may be. Then you simply, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt in that situation, you simply have to lay down the structure of how we're going to handle things moving forward. It's like, all right, cool. You had something happen, you shut down, you didn't know how to handle it. Maybe that's how he tends to handle things. But going forward, if we're going to be in this relationship, I need better communication. I need at least you hitting me up with a text saying, hey, such and such happened. I'm not ready to talk right now. I need a little space, but I want to let you know what's going on. If he can't agree to at least that, there's nothing for you to work with here. Keep it moving. And just accept that this is a man who is either trying to manipulate you, or even if he's not trying to manipulate you, is not healthy enough to be in a good relationship with you. All right, so here's another tactic that a man would use to manipulate a woman, and that's guilt trip you. All right? Guilt is a very powerful thing. It can make people do things they shouldn't do. It can make people remain in a situation they shouldn't remain in. You name it. So let me give you an example of how a manipulative man will use guilt. All right? And this is the extreme example, but it happens. You're with this man, it's not a good situation. And again, whether it's he's a bad guy or it's just you know he's not for you, either way, it's not working. And he hits you with, oh my gosh, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself. And now the fear and the guilt of, I don't want anything bad to happen to this man, I can't walk away. Or it could be, he lives with you. You know you need to get rid of him. But you feel guilty that if I put him out, he'll have nowhere to go. And so now that guilt is keeping you in this relationship and allowing this man to continue to leech off of you and take advantage of you. And all of these men, no matter what kind of example I use, they all know your weakness. They all know that deep inside you have a soft spot and that you're going to have a hard time going through with the action if he hits you with, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm going to kill myself, all these things. Now, it's not that I want anyone to be dismissive of someone threatening suicide. But I also don't want people to be held hostage by someone who's using that as a manipulation tactic. Now, sometimes, you don't know for sure. And this may sound bad, but there comes a point where that's not your responsibility. If it's going to stop, it's one thing for us to ignore somebody's cry for help. And we just need in that moment to stop and pour into them and show them some love and, try to help them out. It's nothing for someone to literally try to keep you, staying in that relationship means this is an ongoing thing where you are unable to do what's best for you. So you pouring into them is not simply an inconvenience of the moment, right? If that's what it would call for you to help them, it's literally you derailing your life. That to me is a line that you can't cross, because then how long are we going to do this? There are so many women right now who are just afraid to let a man go because, he has nowhere else to go. And let me tell you something. A lot of times, one, they do have other options. They just don't like the other options. It's almost like, all right, you have some situations where this man could go back and live with his mother. He just don't want to live with his mother. He'd rather be living with you. So he's going to say, I got nowhere else to go. No, he does. He does. And he'll figure it out once he's out on his behind and he has to make a choice. All right. For some other individuals, it might be what needs to happen for them to get their life together. Some people need to fall flat on their face. Again, no one is saying to put out some man who is good to you and doing his part and pouring into you simply because he doesn't have his life together completely yet. We're talking about a man who is not treating you right, bringing you stress, overburdening you, causing problems, and then wants to use the guilt trip for you to feel bad about putting him out. That's not acceptable. That's not okay.